guys, so this is going to be a quick review of a series that I just recently finished for the Booktubeathon. So today my review is going to be on the Matteo Alacran series by Nancy Farmer. The first book is the first book is The House of the Scorpion, and the second book is called The Lord of the Opium, and it is set in a sort of new sci-fi world in a country that is between old Mexico and America, and this sort of country is central to producing different types of drugs, and the main character lives on this massive area where they produce opium, so hence the second book's title. Anyways, the main character's name is Matt, and he's actually a clone for the leader, so he's made for a special reason, and he has to learn to adapt to this label of his. So the first book centers around him sort of coming of age. My mom just came in and distracted me. Anyways, yeah, so coming of age, so it is between the ages of 0 to 15, and personally I didn't like this as much as the second book. I found that it was very hard to get into at first. The writing is sort of disjointed, and there are time jumps that didn't make sense to me. The timeline was quite unbelievable, and I didn't get the sort of time span. Like, I would be reading it and like thinking it just been a week or 2 weeks, but really it ended up being 6 months, and I wasn't sure what just really happened. And I get that she did that to quicken the plot so that like you can get into the chunk, like the media parts of his storyline, but it still felt a bit disjointed to me. However, once I got past, like, say the first 3 chapters or so, it started to flow a lot better, and I became engaged with the storyline. It was very thought-provoking. I think the one big thing about this series in general is that it is pushed by social justice issues and morale questions, and you're reading it and you are made to think about all these issues that, you know, the world has, but you don't really address them. And I think it's such a creative idea to put them into this world and to address them to young adult readers who, you know, sometimes don't get these sort of problems arise in other young adult novels, but in this one it's such a prominent theme that you will be made to think about them. So there are questions about humanity, social class, the use of child labour, and just slaves in general, as well as nature versus nurture, because Matt is a clone, and, you know, you've created this clone doesn't mean that it would be this, like, doesn't mean that their DNA is biologically, there we go, biologically embedded in them, or, you know, can they learn, say, from other figures, which I found very interesting. So the second book dealt a lot more with identity as well, and how Matt had to figure out where he was standing, and who he is as he reached his teenage years. But it also had a lot to do with power, and, you know, just people abusing power or using their power for good, and just because you've got a status doesn't mean that you can own the world, sort of thing, which I thought was the best bits of this entire series. And that's why I love this series so much, because it's such a thought-provoking read, and that's what I like when I read. The characters as well were really amazing. They were very vibrant, very easy to get attached to. I fell in love with nearly every single character, but I felt Nancy Farmer wrote all the villains very well. I think she wrote all the villains the best, actually, because I got so angry when they were around. Except it's really hard to determine who's good versus who's bad. You do have that sort of straight line, but then there are people who are blurred in between, and that's such a truthful account of real life. You can know some people and there'll be bad sides about them, but there'll also be good sides, and how can you determine if a person is good or bad just based on those accounts? So I thought those were like that's another thing that made the series as well, was that the characters could really draw these emotions out of me and all these like thoughts. I prefer the second one a lot better, because I think I had grown that attachment, and I, you know, gotten used to the way that Nancy Farmer had written, and I found that the world building in this was a lot more interesting. I think this had a lot more to do with, say, Matt, and the introduction to do with his story, whereas this one you get to know more about the world, and the sci-fi elements are so much more interesting. So there are a bit of sci-fi elements in there, but on a whole these two are linked because there are stories about Matt, but they have their own sort of story. So as I said, this is coming of age, where this is more about to do with identity, and as together though, I think they fuse very well. Individually, I gave this a 4 out of 5 and this one a 4.5, but together as a series, I'm definitely going to give the series a 5 out of 5 stars because I actually really liked it, and I would definitely recommend that you guys read it. I think that's all I have to say about this series. Give it a go. Like, seriously, give it a go. It's so good. If you guys have read the series, definitely leave me a comment down below telling me what you guys thought about it. No spoilers for obvious reasons. That is all for today. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!